Okay, back again. Wolfspin Gap Road, we just crested the top, and trying to keep the files manageable, so I'll be cutting in and out a few times and edit it all back together perhaps, or make separate videos out of it. A lot of people on bicycles up here. A lot of people on bicycles. I think they're absolutely insane. My wife and I were laughing about it. These are some pretty good elevations through a lot of these places, and we're thinking about, if you've got to be sweating like a pig coming up these hills, and you get to the top, and then you end up coasting down. I don't know how you don't just burn up going up and freeze going down. I mean, I don't know how you survive something like that. It's, I've got to say, again, it's not really cold. It looks like it's dropped back down to 59 according to the thermometer here. The Spider is very, very comfortable. I get just a little bit of air on my knees. I'm just wearing my blue jeans, no thermal pants or anything. I get just a little bit of air on my knees. I've got my boots on. My feet are nice and warm. The grips are fantastic. I've got them on low, and they're nice and warm, keeping my hands real toasty. I'm real tickled with that. I'll get to ride this a lot in the wintertime now, since I know how good my hands will be. And some people catching up to us. If they get behind me, I'll go ahead and pull over, because again, we're just sightseeing today. We're not in a race. Oh, look at that, straight down. Oh, nice. But I'd like to, was looking at some subjects about some things, and I was watching a video by NC Stoney, and gosh, it's been a little while since I've seen it now, so I don't remember all the particulars, but it had something to do with he was racing or something with his car, or big car. I'm not sure what it was exactly. I think it was when he was a kid. But recount the story of prom night for me. My mother, bless her heart, always wanted a Cadillac, and my dad was real good about that. He made enough money, he was able to buy her a Cadillac, and he got her one, and she really enjoyed it, and she had a couple of them. And then Cadillac made a change. They got rid of the vent window, and my mom was a smoker, and she liked to put her hand up there and put that cigarette in the window. And so the Cadillac didn't make one anymore. They just had that one-piece window, and if she rolled the whole window down, it messed up her hair, And my mom was real particular about her hair. She went to the hairstylist every week, and she had one of those kind of bunnish kind of hairdos, lots of hairspray, and like women in the 50s and 60s did. And but it came time to get her a new car. Her caddy was getting a little bit long in the tooth, and so my dad bought her a Lincoln. He bought a Lincoln Continental, and the Lincoln had a little vent window in it, so she was very, very happy with it. Well, not to talk too much more about that, but what happened was, on prom night, I asked my mother if I could take the car, for prom, and she said, sure, that'd be great. You're just going to go to prom. I said, we're going to go out to eat, we're going to go to prom, and then we're going to, then I'll drop them off, and then I'll come home. And I was a good boy. She knew I wasn't going to stay out all night and all that stuff. They told me when to be back. I said I'll be back about. I think I said I'd be back about midnight, maybe a little after. And she said no problem. And my folks were really good about letting me borrow the car. And normally I would drive her station wagon. She had a station wagon also that we used for pretty much everything. And so I would borrow that. And so. I honestly don't remember. I know it would have been. I know who the girl was I was dating at the time. I'm not going to mention her name because I haven't asked her if it would be all right to. But I had one of my buddies and his girlfriend in the back seat, and my girlfriend and I in the front seat. Now this thing was big enough; it would have carried 8 people, no problem. I mean, this is one of those big land yacht Lincoln Continentals. I think it was a 70. Might have been a 70 or a 71 or 2 or something like that. Big things, lima bean green with white leather interior. Man, it was something. And I was really tickled to have that. Well, we went to a little place called Shakey's Pizza in Charlotte. And this is Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where I grew up. And it was a real nice pizza place. You could go in there and get a pizza pretty cheap. And we went ahead of time. We were all, decked out and all, all that. And we saw some of the people that we knew from school there. A lot of people went there first before the prom. And so we had a nice supper and, talked and all that stuff. And went out and hopped in the car. Well, one of the other guys that I knew was leaving at the same time we were. We pulled out onto Independence Boulevard there. And it was a 4-lane road, 2-lane. We got up to the stoplight side by side, and we're sitting there waiting on the light. And I looked around, and he looked around, and we didn't see any police officers. And so we said, "Oh, this is going to be fun." And so the light turns green, and I just stomped that gas pedal. Well, now this thing had a 454 cubic inch engine in it. I think it was a monster motor, and I just knew I was gonna kick his butt. And there was the god-awfulest noise you ever heard in your life. Just metal on metal, just grinding and going, just horrible sound. And I immediately pulled my foot off the gas pedal, but we had moved forward enough to where we were coasting across the intersection. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw all this liquid on the ground falling out behind the car, and I thought, "Oh my God, I have busted the transmission. I have just romped the transmission case in half." And I said, "Oh crap!" So I got back in the gas a little bit, and it kept going, and I eased it over to a parking lot and got out, and I looked underneath it, and just fluid is pouring out underneath it, and I went and raised the hood and got a flashlight out of the glove compartment and went and looked, and it turns out that the motor mounts in that car must have been a little bit weak, because the motor mounts cut loose, and when I stomped on it, the motor and transmission and everything moved forward just enough so that the fan blade ate a hole in the radiator. It just made a big smiley face on the top of the radiator, and that was all radiator. That was all water and antifreeze flowing out all over the ground. That's what made all the noise. And I cranked it up, and it wasn't hitting it anymore. But there's no way I can go anywhere now with it, because we've got no radiator fluid in there. So I parked it, and in the parking lot there, and one of my other buddies who was also driving to prom, he was there eating with us, and he had seen the whole thing, and he pulled over, and we all hopped into his the four of us hopped in with him and his girlfriend and two people he was taking, and so the 8 of us were in a little Rambler Classic. And he hauled me over to my folks' house, and my folks actually were out on a date or had gone somewhere, and they weren't home. And so what I did was I went in and I got the keys to the station wagon, and we went and hopped in the station wagon so we could still go, because we weren't going to ruin prom for anybody, and there wasn't anything I could do about it. I couldn't get hold of my dad because I didn't know where he was, and we didn't have cell phones or anything back then, of course. But so we went to prom. The rest of prom was very uneventful. Came home, and my dad was up, of course, and he's wondering. He says, "Why were you driving the station wagon?" And I said, "Well," and I told him the story. I said, "Dad," I said, "I stomped on it." Didn't tell him I was racing, but I told him, I said, "Dad, I stomped on the gas and pulling out of the pizza place, and the fan went through the radiator." And he said, "Oh man." And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "I feel real bad about it." I said, "I didn't mean to tear Mom's car up." And he said, "Well, don't worry about it. We'll get it fixed." And he was like that. He was very forgiving. I'm sure he knew I was doing something I probably wasn't supposed to be doing, but he was real good about it. That was my adventure with that. I did do a little bit of drag racing on the strip. I had a good friend of mine had a Camaro that he had fixed all up, and we went to a place called Shuffletown Drag Strip, which was in up above north of Charlotte, and went up there and raced it a little bit, and I never did any good with it, but I had more fun really with the Lincoln. But anyway, well, that's the rest of that story. As you've watched on the video here, we've reached the end of Wolf's Pen Gap Road, and we're now heading toward Helen. This is part of the 6 Gap Road series, and you want to just take the longer way? You okay? Okay. So the wife, who will not talk on camera, has decided that she nodded her head and said it would be okay to take the longer route. I wasn't sure whether she was going to be warm enough to do that. So we'll take this route. This is a route I really like better. It's got a few little twisties in it like that last road did, but it's got more sweepers in it. And it's a good bit longer, of course. But it's pretty nice. I got people coming up behind me, holding them up. I might have to pull off up here a little bit and let somebody by, but we'll see how it goes. Oh, this is a church they were building. Last time I was up here, they were working on that. Oh, they got it finished. Yeah, they got it finished. They're not in it yet, but they've got it finished. Come on by. Yeah, come on by. There he goes. There he goes. If you got $80,000, there's something you can buy right there to go zooming by me. Let me see. I'm gonna get up here and go on, Porsches. See what this guy is behind him. Ah, he's not a Porsche. All right. That's the thing about it here. If you're just cruising, you gotta keep an eye on your mirrors because they will run over you like they just use you for traction in a corner. But, yep. But you know, let's see how the leaves look on this portion of it. Looks like yeah, we might be a little past peak on this one, on this section of it. We should be. Look at those mountains. Aren't those gorgeous? Oh, look at that. See, wouldn't it be fun to have a little mountain house out here? You know, you come up here and spend like this time of year, spend the fall and maybe some of the early winter, get some snow on the ground and have Christmas up here and then boogie down south again for the rest of the winter when it's so cold. But really nice up through here. Beautiful views. I don't think there's anything well, my wife said, she's a flight attendant, she said she knows people that actually live up in this area and commute back and forth to Atlanta to work, but that's even when there's no traffic. That was an hour and a half, so that'd be too much of a commute even for me. That's what I had. I had an hour and a half commute, but I didn't have that many miles. I only had 49 miles. And that was with traffic. It was an hour and a half, so it'd be 2 hours, 2.5 hours some days. I guess if you did that, you'd have to come in. You'd want to take a trip where you'd stay overnight or something. Go and fly 3 days or so and then come back. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous out through there? How's it going? Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Unbelievable. Love that little mountain right there. That house in front of it right there. Hope the camera picks that up. Just beautiful. All right, really nice. There's some nice areas up there. I think that's a lodge or something, or a couple houses up on top of that hill. People like to build out here. Alrighty, well, we'll knock off for now and we'll pick it up later.